I just feel like I've always done everything kind of out of order in a way in my life, you know, like I was teaching at Princeton this whole year while I was at Brown. 2 weeks after I graduated, I turned 50. It's just like I feel like my life has just been an experiment in like irregular temporality, basically.
Wearing the
I left
mask
school
of
for a variety of reasons. It
tomorrow
wasn't just as simple as like I don't want to be here. I was
to
in a tough relationship with my parents at the time because of queerness, and also I was struggling with addiction issues at the time. I was lucky. I left school and I had a job dancing professionally. But there was this feeling of, you know, you're meant to sort of fulfill the dream of your parents. If your parents are immigrants, you're really not supposed to do things out of order. I think there was a part of me that was just trusting that I was going to go the direction I needed to go in, which is exactly what happened. I mean, everything I think has happened exactly as it was meant to. If I say I am a choreographer, then often I think people have a very 1980s movie idea of what a choreographer is. Like it's me like in front of a room barking at a bunch of people, which has happened. I prefer sometimes to define myself in sort of the verb, the active. And I often just sort of say I make shows. You know, I make dance based performance work that's in the tradition of a particular line of experimental legacy. I know that I don't need this degree to make my work, but particularly when COVID hit, I was talking about it with my sister, and she was the one. She was like, "Well, why don't you just go back to Brown and finish Brown?" And I was like, "Whoa, that had not even like occurred to me." And then I started reaching out, and I basically got into a conversation with Dean Bhattacharya about it, and she laid it all out. Like, this is the situation. So I did that, and I applied, and then yeah, I got a great financial aid deal. You know, education was literally the most important thing to my father. I made a real show of it when I went to the gates and I went right up to the camera and was like, "I love you, Dad." You know, I don't think I had really ever fully allowed myself to feel the shame and the disappointment and the need for repair, you know. And I feel really grateful that I got to have it. I really loved being a student. Like it's crazy to realize like I needed the world to kind of like stop in order to like focus. I think I would have been really lost this year if I hadn't had that. I wouldn't have made it through.